Welcome again to our YouTube channel where we proclaim that our God is sufficient for all. Craving for love is a human desire. Human beings usually desire to be loved. They desire to be appreciated. It is a human urge to seek to be loved. But there is a danger when the human person craves to be loved. There is a danger in craving to be loved, especially in a loving, romantic relationship or in a spousal relationship. That craving to be loved, that excessive desire to be loved by the other partner or by your spouse or by the other party in the relationship, that desire, excessive desire to be loved, can be very dangerous and detrimental to the person and to the relationship itself. So therefore, it is good for those people who are in a relationship to develop and create a genuine, loving relationship. A genuine, loving relationship devoid or without unrealistic expectations. To develop or to create a genuine, loving relationship without unrealistic expectations. Craving to be loved can cause damage, as I've just mentioned, to the relationship or to the person. Craving to be loved is not healthy. Some people call it excessive desire to be loved. And this excessive desire to be loved by the other partner or the other party in the relationship can easily lead to very unhealthy behaviors in the person who is craving to be loved and then evokes unhealthy behavior from the other person from whom he or she is seeking or craving this love from. It can easily lead to very unhealthy behaviors in this person who is craving to be loved and then create a negative response from the other person who is to give this love that is being craved for. First, if this excessive desire to be loved exists in a person, it makes the person to be ready to sacrifice and settle for an unfulfilling relationship. Because the person is craving to be loved, he is having this excessive desire to be loved, can easily give into a relationship that is not fulfilling, a relationship that is frustrating. But because this person wants, desires, excessively craves to be loved, will settle for such a relationship that is not fulfilling for him or for her. He who is seeking or who is having this excessive desire to be loved, you settle for unfulfilling relationships just because you want to be validated, you want to feel loved, you want to feel the affection of the other person. So you give into a relationship that is very unhealthy, that is unfulfilling. Two, it can also lead the person to be overly dependent on the other party or the other partner. Overly dependent. That you surrender almost everything to this other party so that you can receive the love that you crave for. You become overly dependent. You become a yes person to everything without question because you want that validation, that love, that craving to be fulfilled. Overly dependent on the other person. You become almost a slave, almost a servant. You are ready to sacrifice everything in order to receive that love. 3. It leads the person to easily neglect personal needs. Neglecting personal needs. Because you want to please the other person. You want to make the other person love you more. You want to evoke the love from the other person. Your personal needs, they become subservient to the needs of the other or the other partner or your spouse. When somebody is at that stage, it is easy to have number 4, an enabling environment for abuse. An enabling environment for abuse. He or she who is craving to be loved, having this excessive desire to be loved, and has gone through these stages, overly dependent on the other person, settling for unfulfilling relationship, neglecting personal needs, that gives room for an enabling environment for abuse. This desperate desire to be loved, all the want, all the need for validation and affection becomes extremely dangerous, for it leads to emotional distress. It leads to emotional distress and also endanger the relationship itself. When there is emotional distress, there is a danger to the relationship itself. That means genuine loving relationship is not existing anymore. There is a desperate desire to be loved, and there is an imbalance in the relationship. Craving or this excessive desire to be loved, it can cause some of the following. Apart from having this danger, settling for unfulfilling relationship, becoming overly dependent on the other party or the other partner, neglecting personal relationship, enabling environment for abuse, it also brings or causes low self-esteem. The person has low self-esteem, low self-worth. You don't feel worthy before the other party. You have fear of rejection. You fear to be rejected. You cannot withstand a rejection. You fear to be rejected. Therefore, this person who fears to be rejected will never develop or assert boundaries in the relationship because this person fears to be rejected. Therefore, there's no way this person can attempt to have boundaries in the relationship or become assertive in the relationship with the needs and the wants of this particular person. This person just gives up. Low self-esteem, low self-worth, fear of rejection, which leads to no setting of boundaries in the relationship, or the person never becomes assertive in anything. Low self-esteem, 2, it is said that at this moment, codependent behaviors emerge. Codependent behaviors emerge. Someone starts to give priority to the needs of the other while neglecting his or her own. They neglect even their well-being. In search of maintaining and keeping this relationship, they neglect everything, neglect themselves, prioritize the needs of the other. Of course, it is important, it is good to sacrifice for the good of the other partner, but you must not neglect your own self. We sacrifice for each other. The husband can sacrifice for the wife can sacrifice for the husband, but not in the detriment of neglecting yourself and your own needs. Create time also for your own need as you sacrifice for the needs of the other party, of the other partner, of your spouse. Create also time for your own needs so that when you take care of yourself, you are able to take care of the other person, your spouse, when you are ready, well, when you have good health, when you have taken care of your needs, you are able to take care of the needs of the other person. You must not neglect yourself. You neglect yourself or your personal needs as you prioritize the other party's priorities. That means you have to make that balance, self and the other. You cannot be the best spouse if your self needs cannot support you to do it because you have neglected them. 3, it can also cause instability in the relationship. Why? Because maybe this person who is seeking to be validated, craving to be loved, who is having excessive desire to be loved, and does not find this validation, this affection in this particular relationship, this person may break away and enter into another relationship where this person may feel validated, affection, and this excessive desire to be loved where it can be experienced. So the relationship cannot be stable because this person will be constantly in search of validation, that this person can do anything to be validated. And when does not find in that relationship, goes for to the other relationship, continue to the another relationship, breaks up, goes for another one. And it may continue ad infinitum because you may never find a fulfillment in excessive desire to be loved or excessive cravings for love. You may never find it. So you may move from one relationship to another ad infinitum, forever, without end. Because you may never find that validation and affection as you want it, as you need it, because it is excessive desire to be loved or a craving for love. In a loving relationship, there must be self-validation first. Validate yourself first. Self-validation, self-love, self-contentment. Then now you can express this to your spouse. You self-validate first, self-love, self-contentment. Therefrom, you can give it out to the other partner in the relationship without setting unrealistic expectations in your relationship. Set realistic expectations. Don't set unrealistic expectations. Don't expect the love relationship you read in the novels to just exist in your relationship. People have written books, romantic books, and you are existing in that ideal world of that novel that you read, romantic novel, and you wanted to exist in your family, in your relationship between your husband and you, between your wife and yourself. It may not exist like that. That's not realistic. Set realistic expectations in your relationship by first self validation, self love, self contentment, then express that to your spouse, to your partner in the relationship. The other problem it can cause is manipulation and abuse, as we mentioned. It leads easily to manipulation and abuse. Desperation for love. When one is desperate for love, this person becomes more susceptible to be manipulated, to be abused by the other partner from whom they seek this love, this validation, this affection. It opens the doors to be manipulated and to be abused. And this person may have anxiety and enter into depression, anxiety and depression. Because this person fears to be rejected. This person will always be anxious. This person will always have depression because this person fears to be abandoned, fear of abandonment, fear to be rejected. This person may suffer significant anxiety and depression when especially the relationship fails to meet these unrealistic expectations. The relationship is not achieving these expectations, so this person fears to be rejected, fears to be abandoned, and this person enters into anxiety and depression. For those who are in relationships, and maybe you discover you may have this excessive desire to be loved, or you have this craving to be loved, you can do few things. One, have self-reflection. Just be realistic to yourself. Self-reflect. Introspect yourself. What are the reasons that are driving you to have this excessive desire to be loved? What are you fighting with? What is causing you to have this craving to be loved, to be validated, to feel affection? What is driving you to have such? Is it your past experiences, what you went through in relationships before, your family experiences? What is causing this desire, excessive desire to be loved? What is it? Find the reasons as to why you're having such kind of excessive desire to be loved. Examine your self-esteem. Are you confident with who you are? Are you comfortable in your skin? Are you confident? Are you able to articulate yourself as you are? What have you learned from your past lived experiences, either in your family, with your brothers and sisters, with your parents, with your neighbors, with friends, with workmates? What are these experiences contributing to this kind of desire, excessive desire to be loved by your partner or from your spouse? What is driving you to have this excessive desire to be loved? Is there anything you can change? If there's something you can change, change it. If there's nothing to change, then find a way of going around it. The other thing you can do when you discover all these things that are going on in your life that are making you to have this excessive desire to be loved, please seek professional help. Maybe therapy. It may help in equipping you with the tools to manage things to do with emotions, to develop a healthy relationship pattern in your life, to find out the challenges of love relationship in your life and how you can overcome it, how to develop a positive self-worth, a positive self-image, and self-contentment. Therapy can help you to develop these, to have these tools so that you are able to be comfortable in your skin and for who you are. And then you are able now to love as who you are, not who you expect to be or how you expect to be loved. Just give love and let love attract love to you. The other thing you can do is maximize proper self-care program or have a proper self-care for yourself. Things you can do outside your relationship, things you can do outside of your loving relationship. Do you have hobbies that brings you joy, that brings you happiness, things that bring you joy and fulfillment outside of the relationship that you have? What is that good thing that brings you joy and fulfillment that you can do? That means have self-care, proper self-care. You can even have friendships which bring you fulfillment and joy and bring you to focus, bring you back into line, bring you back to reality from unrealistic expectations, peer groups, confidants whom you can share with, those who can help you. Have or set personal goals that are realistic and achievable. Personal goals, realistic and achievable. Maybe you are like me, you need to go to a gym and do something for yourself. Go for a walk, develop a hobby that you enjoy. Maybe morning walks, evening walks, go to the gym, whichever. Have that good self-care. Have a proper self-care program that will help you bring joy to your life and fulfillment. The other thing you can do that is most important is setting realistic goals in the relationship. Setting realistic goals. It is good also to understand that not all things can be cured by love. Not all things can be cured by love. Some things are cured by something else, not love. You cannot pay debt, financial debt, by loving the bank manager. Not everything can be cured by love. Love is not a solution for everything. Some things are just logic, thinking, and being realistic. But last and not least, a constant reminder that love in a loving relationship requires a working effort from both of you, requires a working effort from all of you. All of you must work towards that loving relationship to create positive patterns between the two of you, positive patterns, patterns of love, patterns of love that do not self-degrade, self-humiliate, but self-uplift. And therefore you also lift your partner with you. A loving relationship requires a working effort from both parties, from both partners, without self-degrading, self-humiliating, or self-neglecting, but self-uplifting in order to lift the other in your loving relationship. May God bless all of you who are in love, who are in a relationship, that He may grant you the grace to develop genuine, loving relationship without unrealistic expectations. May God bless you with love and bond you with His grace. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. God bless you. Keep loving each other, but in a realistic manner, not in a utopia world.